ರೆಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ತಿಕ್ ತಿಕ್ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋದ್ಮೇಲೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಐಫೋನ್ ನಾನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ವಾ ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾನೇ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
An attendee in
Hello everyone, a very good evening. I hope you guys are doing good. So just quickly confirm if you can hear me and you can see my screen as well. Okay, thank you Shrikant. Okay, let's wait for a couple of minutes. Let us also join, then we are going to start. Okay, so let's start with today's session, guys. So first, we are going to check what we have, learned yesterday. So yesterday, I was started with, like with section number 2, where we have spoken about, like we have learned about IM. So, like what are the essential pillars of IM? All 4 pillars we have checked, and the details about each and every pillar. And we have also seen, like different kind of with the help of different diagrams, different, scenario. I've explained you how all are the like how is the functionality of each and every component of IM. And after that, I have also showed you one recorded demo which tells you how how you can create the different IM essential pillars. Okay, so let me take few questions and then we are going to start today. So please tell me all the essential pillars of IM. I got answer from Sandeep. What about others? Hmm. Okay, yeah, got it. Yes. Then I am asking, what are the essential pillars of IAM, identity and access management? Yes, so the correct answer is IAM user, IAM group, IAM policy, IAM rule. Okay, so can we attach a single user into multiple IAM groups? Is it possible? Yes or no? Can we attach a single IAM user into multiple IAM groups? Is it possible? Yes or no? Answer straightforward. So the correct answer is yes, it is possible. Okay. So can we have nested IAM groups? Can we have nested IAM groups? Very good, guys. Yes, it is not possible to have one group inside another IAM group. Okay. Take another one. So in which format we create IAM policies? What is the format name? Hmm. It's very good. It's JSON, Java, JavaScript object notation. Okay. So I have written, I have written 2 policies for a single user. In one policy, I have explicitly allowed the user to access EC2 service. In another policy, I have explicitly denied the user to access EC2 service. Now just confirm me whether user will be able to access EC2 service or not. Hmm. Yes. Raghav, just rethink. I'll just repeat the question again. There's one user. For him, I have attached 2 policies. The first one is having explicit allow rule to access the EC2. The second policy is having explicit deny rule. I mentioned a deny rule so that he cannot access the EC2 service. Now tell me whether user can access EC2 service or not. I got a few answers. I want more. That's why I repeat the question. Please answer, guys. Very good. Okay, so I got a mixed kind of answers for this question, but most of you are correct. Yes, the user cannot access. So yesterday what we have learned that explicit deny is having precedence over explicit allow. So explicit deny is having more power. If we are explicitly denying something in a policy, then that will take precedence, or it will take over the allow property. The explicitly allow permission. That's why user won't be able to access. Okay. Okay. So with the help of EC2, like with the help of IAM rules, is it possible that user can have a cross account access, a cross AWS account access? With the help of IAM role, can user have a cross account access, cross AWS account access? Very good, Money. I think when you have revised all the concepts, very good. I think it was, I can see your answers. You're answering everything very, correctly. Very good. Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah. So, very good, guys. Yes. Cross account means, Nitin, like multiple accounts. So suppose I am the I am the user of account number A, AWS account number A. Now, if I want to access some service inside account number B, and that account I am not a IAM user, then with the help of IAM rules, we can have a cross account access. So to access our account and AWS account from another account, that is the meaning of cross account access. Okay, yes, it is possible with the help of IAM rule. You can you can have you can attach these roles to a user identity inside a particular account. So you can attach the roles between the AWS resources so that they can access, they can communicate with each other. Apart from that, you have the power to create a role and attach it to the user so that user can also access another AWS account of which he or she is not a member. Okay, so that is done. Okay, fine. So I've been given a task. Like I'm like I there is an application, social media application is there, where people are storing, the application is hosted on EC2, and that EC2 is connected to we want to connect that EC2 to S3 service. Okay, but we don't want to we don't want to input our credentials on EC2 platform, on that EC2 server. So what is the secure way to connect your EC2 with S3 service? I don't want to use my credentials. I don't want to place my credentials on EC2 server. So I want some other way which is more secure so that I can connect my EC2 with my S3. Very good. Very good, Raghavan. Shrikant, no, Shrikant, I'm talking about the service, Shrikant. I'm not asking a user to have access, programmatic or other stuff. Don't consider about VPC. Don't consider about VPC money. I'm just simply asking how you can connect a EC2 service to your S3 service securely without exposing your ID and password. Yesterday I told you. I got a correct answer from Raghavan. No. So let me tell the answer. So Raghavan, very good. So the correct answer is you have to create a rule. Just now I've told you that with the help of a rule, you can connect to AWS resources, because when we create a rule, it will be it will be also having a temporary credentials that will be exchanged when we are connecting to services. That's why we don't have to store our own credentials on EC2 service. We don't have to store our keys. The keys are the credentials on our EC2 service. That's why. These programmatic and MFA, these are for users. These are for users. Like when I want to access something, my AWS through CLI and other stuff, then I can use programmatic access. MFA is a added security, so that I can have a second level of authentication while accessing my AWS account of some application which is hosted on AWS. So the correct answer is IAM rules. Okay. Yes, that is the power of role money. With the help of role, I've told you what is the basic functionality of role. Role are used to connect to AWS resources. So how an EC2 will be able to connect to S3? That is because with the help of role. If you would have, like yesterday also, we have seen that recorded demo where one role was created by user, and that role was having, what was the property of the role? That EC2 instance can connect with DynamoDB and S3 service as a read-only access. Okay, if you want to revise that, you can just check out that video again. You will get the idea. Same thing which I'm currently talking about. Okay, guys, I think I've covered almost all the questions. So these kind of a questions, like you're going to get maybe in a, like in a, I would say, like a scenario based. Okay, I've just asked you a straightforward, but this is kind of a different kind of a, you're going to get different kind of a scenario. We're going to discuss that once we will go for that exam readiness session. Okay, what is asking? If I am a database engineer, I get access automatically to my secure. No money. You will not get access. If you are a database engineer, then your IAM admin is going to create a policy so that you can get access to MySQL database. He is going to attach a policy to your user ID. That is a different thing. IAM role and IAM policy are different. IAM role, we attach IAM policy to IAM role to complete that role. That is different. Policies are just a document which contains the permission. Policy you can directly attach to your, to your entity, but the role you can attach to communicate between two AWS sources. Okay, I hope you got the difference. Okay, so is it fine, Money? Is it clear? You have to start now. Yeah, cool. Okay, guys, so let's start the section 3. So, like we have already covered, very important topics, very important, learning of IAM. So let's check out how you can secure a new AWS account. So you guys would have also created a new AWS account. If not, then it is not a problem. Please create. Once you will end it up with this canvas access, then you can create. So now what they want to tell us, some best practices you can do to secure your account. So AWS account root user access versus IAM user. I've told you, account root user is a God mode. What do you mean by God mode? He or she who is having a root access can perform any task on AWS platform. But if you will create an IAM user, suppose I am an account root user, and I have created around 50 users accounts for you guys individually, so that I can control your account. I can give you a particular kind of access which is required as per your job profile. So that is the best practices. They are giving some best practices that try to use IAM user account, and please don't use root user account with some exceptions. Let's check out that. So the best practice is there. Do not use AWS account root user except when necessary. Some exceptions are there that can only be completed with the help of root users. For those tasks only, you should log in as a root user. Suppose I am a root user, and if I also I am a root user, and I am also a infra engineer. I'm working as a CTO of a company, but I also have a expertise in DevOps and cloud infrastructure creation. So if I also want to work along with you, then what I can do maximum, I also create one IAM user, and for me I will give a admin access. I'll give an admin access for me, because admin access and root users are also, there is some thin line differences there, that also I'll tell you. So that IAM admin can access all the services, but IAM admin cannot access the billing portion of your AWS account. So the functionality won't be the issue. Suppose I want to create the infra, I'm having an admin access, I can do that, and with the help of admin access also I can create your user accounts, but I cannot access the I cannot access the billing portion. The billing portion, when you want to pay the bill, all the account, the finance kind of information can be accessed through root user account only. Okay, so let's check out what they're telling here. So access to the account root user requires logging into the email address with the password that you used to create the AWS account. Definitely, you will be using your ID and password to create a root user account. Example actions that can only be done with account root user. So I have told you there are some exceptions. Some tasks are there which can only be performed with the help of root user. The first one is updating the account root user password. Suppose I created one account policy for everyone, for my root user account also, that after, after, 30 days, we are going to change the account user password. So for changing the password, definitely I have to access my account first. If suppose today you want to change your Gmail password, so first you have to log into your Gmail account, then only you can change your password. The same thing. The second is changing the AWS support plan. So suppose, okay, money. When it comes to the salary, it depends on, money, guys. Money is asking some out of box question. Okay, here it is not related to any topic, but some question which can be helpful for others also. He is asking what will be the salary if you work in this particular field. So money, it depends whether you are going into the production based company or you are going into the service based company. If you are going into service based company like Accenture or Cognizant, TCS, they will be giving you a fresher salary of around 4 to 5 lakhs, between 4 to 5 lakhs. Same way, if you're going to some startup and some product based company, they can give up to 8 to 10 lakhs. That is a starting salary. Okay. And as you grow, then it depends on your knowledge how you can go ahead. Okay. But this field is having a very good potential. So once you will, have a more knowledge on this field, then definitely you will grow a lot. But I told you the criteria of the salary of both production and your product based company and your service based company. Okay. Okay. So what I was telling you guys, just a minute. Okay. Yeah. So the second point is change the AW support plan. Now, the second part, suppose, we all know about the AW support plan. Suppose, I started with developer plans. Now I think I am having, my product is stable. I'm having a very huge team. Multiple projects are there. So now I can go to I can modify my developers plan to enterprise plan. So if I want to change the support plan also, for that also I have to log in as a root user inside the root user account. The third one is restore an IAM user permission. If I want to restore the IAM user permission, suppose I have created 10 user using a root user account. Okay, and if suppose some Money was working in my team from past years and now he has resigned and he is going to some other company. So definitely I have to restore his user access. So tomorrow once he will left my company, he should not be able to access the AWS infra which is created under this AWS account. So I will just restore the AWS user permission for the root account is required. The fourth one is change account settings. Suppose contact information or some some regions and all, some kind of a account settings changing can be only done with the help of root user. So these are some kind of exception tasks, and for these tasks only, AWS recommend that you should log in as a root user. Apart from that, please create IAM user of yourself also, give them the desired permission and continue your work inside IAM user account only. Don't use your root user account, because if the root user account is exposed or it is hacked or it is by mistake, if you have shared some credentials to other guys of root user, they can do anything with your AWS account. They can delete the machines, they can they can change the account settings, they can delete the user, they can do anything. So that's why avoid using root user account and create a IAM user for yourself and for teammates and give access to them to the services which they need and let the work begin in a secure way. Okay, this is the first recommendation. Second, they are telling securing a new AWS account, that is account root user. So these are the steps, okay, what you can do to secure your AWS root user account. So first of all, stop using the AWS root user account as soon as possible. Same thing I was telling you. The account root user has unrestricted access to all the resources. Account root user is a god mode. He or she can do anything because there is unrestricted access. He or she can access all the resources of that particular AWS account. So to stop using the AWS root account, first you are logged in as a root user, create an IAM user. I told you. So you should log in as a root user, create an IAM user for yourself also. Okay, and then second, create an IAM group, give a full admin permission and add the IAM user. Suppose since you are the owner of root account, so you can create an IAM user and add it into an IAM group and attach full administration permission to that IAM group. So once the permission will be added to group, then automatically the user will also get the same kind of a permission inherited automatically. The third one is disable and remove your account root user keys. So guys, this is some security part. I can't show you, but I will tell you. Once you will create your AWS account, under your account settings, you will find your root user access keys. There will be two root user access keys that will be used to access the SDK and CLI. For SDK and CLI, for programmatic access also, these keys are required, root user access keys. So you have to remove them, okay, if they exist. You can remove them if they exist. And the fourth one is enable a password policy for user. So definitely once you create your IAM users or multiple IAM users for your teammate as well, you enable a password policy. So that what will be in the password policy? To create a 3D password. Now what is 3D password? Which contains alphabet, numeric and your special characters. So they should frame a 3D password because these 3D passwords are like less vulnerable to get hacked. Nobody can easily crack this password. Okay. And you can also do one thing. You can also create a password rotation policy. Rotation policy means you can create a policy like that for each user of this each IAM user for this AWS account has to change their password after 60 days or after 30 days or after 90 days. So once that time will be coming, then they will automatically get some notification in their email that you have to change your password or so that they can go ahead and they can change their password. So every time the password will be recycled after some days, maybe a month, 2 months or 3 months. So that is also very good. So that a single password won't be there. It will be recycled every time after a certain duration. The fifth one is sign in with your new IAM user credential. Once you're done with all these 4 points, then you need to sign in with your IAM user credentials and store your account root user credentials in a secure place. So your ID and password, with the help of that, you have created your IAM root user account. Sorry, not IAM, your AWS root user account. Please save those ID and password in some file or some data locker where you can find them because for some tasks we need root users also, so that you will not forget. And whenever you want to use those root user credentials, maybe once a month to pay your AWS account bill, okay, or to check some activity of your account. So for that you have to log in as a root user so that you can use those credentials. So these are the very simple and very easy to understand steps which you can use to secure your AWS account. The second thing is securing a new AWS account. You can also enable the MFA, that is multi-factor authentication. Requires MFA for your account root users and for all IAM users. So what you can do, you can impose a MFA for everyone, whether it is root user account or it is IAM users account, so that for each account there will be a multi-factor authentication added to each account, so that each user will have a 2 level of security, so that their account access as an IAM user will be pretty much secure. You can also use MFA to control access to AWS Service API. So MFA has an added advantage. Apart from controlling the access of users, you can also control some AWS Service APIs. So I've told you there are some APIs are there, application programming interface. These are used to communicate with the AWS environment. So suppose if you are working as a AWS developer, so it comes under the programmatic part. So if suppose every time they're going to hit this API, they have to, suppose they want to access some API the pricing information of each and every. Then just give me an example. Suppose any user want to access an API that gives all the pricing information about the AWS resources inside a particular region. So I've attached an MFA on the top of that. So once the API will be hit, it is going to ask you one MFA code, then only it is going to display the result. That's how you can use that also. Okay, so the main funda is that you should also enable the MFA, that is multi-factor authentication. Options for retrieving the MFA token I've told you yesterday. First one is virtual MFA, that is your software token. So here you can use two famous software on your Android phone and Windows phone, that your Google Authenticator and Authy Authenticator you can use. Apart from that, we have a hardware MFA options. These are the hardware tokens like RSA token is there, which is created by EMC Square. You can use those tokens. So there is one serial number at the back of each hardware token. the serial number you have to add on the MFA, and then your MFA will be activated with this particular token, the hardware token. So that's how you can set up the MFA. So MFA is very, very important. You should enable the MFA, multi-factor authentication. Okay, now let's move to the third part. That is securing a AWS account using AWS CloudTrail. Okay, so CloudTrail is a service which tracks a user activity in your account. So whatever user activity is there, that will be tracked inside your AWS account with the help of CloudTrail. So there are logs, there are CloudTrail logs are there which capture all the details. Now what are the details? So if I will give you a real-time example, okay, like real life example I would say, and then I'm going to explain this. Suppose you guys are like goes to gym. Suppose your money goes to gym, and suppose like there is one gym trainer, like I am a gym trainer. So I'm going to monitor money activity. So like at this particular point of time, when he was doing treadmill, then he was doing the dumbbells, the heavy weight lifting, all those different kind of stuff. So this CloudTrail is like a gym trainer who is tracking money, and money is here AWS resource. The people, the AWS user who is trying to access some AWS resource. Now, what are the AWS resource? The treadmill is you can consider as an AWS resource. That weightlifting, the weights you can consider, and other machines you can consider as a AWS resource inside a gym. So the same way, when it comes to AWS platform, the AWS platform, then CloudTrail tracks all the activities. Suppose like I have logged in as my username to a particular AWS account, then throughout the day, which all application I have used, I have tested, everything will be logged inside CloudTrail. So now, what are the advantages of using CloudTrail? Why we are tracking it? So for example, me, Money and Nitin are working in one project, okay, and we all have access for EC2 service, a full admin access for EC2 service, so that we have a power to create new machines, to modify the machines, to log into machines, and to terminate or to stop all the machines. And one fine day, in an afternoon, we found that one of the EC2 service, machines got terminated. Now, since we all three have access, then how the higher management or other people will come to know that who has terminated that machine? So for that, we can access the CloudTrail logs, and we'll see who was the last user and what kind of a activity he or she has done on that particular AWS service. That's why we are tracking. It helps you to keep a track that who's trying to touch which service in your AWS account, because that is also very, very important. If you are the owner of any AWS account, you'll come to know. Okay, so now you understood what is CloudTrail with the help of that. So remember, when this CloudTrail comes, remember it is like this service like a gym trainer who is tracking your activity inside a gym. Okay, the same way CloudTrail is tracking the user activity of your AWS account. So it logs all the API requests to resources and all supported services in your account. So whether are users trying to access your services through API, or users logging through management console try to access the service, everything will be tracked under the CloudTrail logs. Basic CloudTrail event history is enabled by default and it is free. It contains all management data even on at least 90 days of account activity. So suppose like this is a free activity. If suppose you want to store these CloudTrail logs for 90 days, for the 90 days, it is free it is free to use. If suppose you want to if you want CloudTrail to track your account, and can store the logs for longer period of time, longer than 90 days, for that you have to pay something. That is an advanced tracking using CloudTrail. But by default it is free, so that whatever data is going to track, it is going to track, that will be stored for 90 days. After 90 days it is going to be flushed. So if you want to store for more period of time, so that you can use the advanced CloudTrail functionality, for that you have to pay some amount. The amount is not much, you have to pay some amount, but by default it is free for 90 days. Okay, so to access all this data is also very helpful for auditing. Each year company goes for auditing. Suppose I am a client, I am some client XYZ, okay, and we are like money is supporting my AWS account, money is supporting my my application which is hosted on AWS service. So like each year I will I will send my some company so that they can do some audit. So they will come to know that like how this like money teams and money is trying to trying to access all the services, what are things they have done. So it is very good. Okay, it is also helpful. This data, the data which is there in the log, is helpful for auditing purpose also. So to access CloudTrail, it is very simple. You have to log into a management console and then just search for CloudTrail, and under that you have to click on event history to view, filter, and search the logs for 90 days. So these are the CloudTrail. Like inside the CloudTrail logs, they used to they used to write all the logs in the form of events, so that under the event history you can check out that. So to enable logs beyond 90 days and enable specified event alerting, create a trail. So like to create the alerting, or to create like this to enable the logs beyond 90 days. These are the steps which you can do. First, you have to form the CloudTrail console trail page, create trail. So inside the CloudTrail, we used to create a trail. Trail is a term for CloudTrail which is going to track your activity. Second, you have to provide a name to that CloudTrail, like we have given like account XYZ account tracking, and you can apply to all the region and create a new S3 bucket for log storage. So suppose like you have to apply it for the region, because maybe your infra is in two region, but you should apply it for all the region. Maybe somebody is trying to access some other region and trying to do some activity, that also will be tracked inside CloudTrail logs. And then you have to also mention one S3 bucket name, because these logs will be internally stored on S3 bucket. So we have S3 bucket which stores all the objects. So this logs file will be stored. So maybe you can just create a configuration where you can store the logs per day, per week, or twice a day. It depends on your configuration. So all the data will be stored on the S3 bucket. Configure access restriction on S3 bucket. So one thing also you have to make sure that like once you will create this S3 bucket, you have to make sure non-authorized user whose job responsibility is not to check all these CloudTrail logs, they should not access the particular S3 bucket. So using that bucket policy or using the IAM policy, you can create one policy and attach it to this S3 bucket, and then that policy will contain that only a particular user can access, who is an authorized person who want to check these CloudTrail logs. Apart from that, the normal users who are working to create AWS infrastructure, they should not access this. Only the authorized person can access it. So this is how you can secure your new AWS account using AWS CloudTrail. Let's move ahead. Now secure a new AWS account using billing report. So you also have to like enable a billing report such as AWS cost and usage report. So I think few days back we have seen how to create AWS cost and usage report. You can create this with the help of AWS Cloud Explorer, Cost Explorer platform. So billing reports provide information about your use of AWS resources and estimated cost for that use. Definitely, it's a very detailed report. It will also tell you all the actions which were done on that particular resource in a particular region as well. We have seen, like for the EC2 service, it was also mentioned in the region. So daily, if suppose you are creating a daily AWS cost and usage report, you will see. If suppose you will find the cost and usage report is just displaying the results which are very much near to each other, that's not a problem. If one fine day you will find that gradually there is a spike in your spike in the amount of a particular cost and usage day report, then you can investigate that what which particular resource has launched which kind of a which kind of a services, so that we got so much billed for a particular day. That's why you should enable the records, this billing reports. The report is updated at least one a day, so once a day it will be updated. AWS delivers the report to S3 bucket that is specified. So maximum information is saved inside S3 buckets. So here also these you have to define an S3 bucket, and daily the cost and usage report will be generated and will be delivered to a S3 bucket, Amazon S3 bucket. From there also you can access this report. The AWS cost and usage report tracks your AWS usage and provide estimate charge associated with your AWS account either by hour or a day. We all know it is a very detailed report. We have also seen the format of a report. It contains what kind of resources were used, in which region, and for what kind of a purpose. Okay, so it is a very detailed report. So you can either get the details per hour or per day. So you can put it according to your business requirement. So that's how you can also, secure your account using billing reports. Okay, let's take the key takeaways of this section. So best practices to secure a debit account is first secure your login with MFA. Please enable the MFA. Second, delete your root user access key. Definitely, we don't require that because root user access keys are used to access your like AWS CLI or AWS SDK programmatically. But since when we will be creating IAM user, then we can log in as an IAM user or IAM admin user using those keys. Okay, so you should delete this. And then create individual IAM user and grant permission according to the principle of least privilege. Principle of least privilege is the main factor which is used in IT industry. So you have to make sure if suppose there is some like group of people who only require access to EC2 and VPC, don't give them any other access in your AWS account. Only give the access as a least privilege access as per their job profile. And like in the future, if suppose there's some requirement you want to increase the level of access, then you can increase by by adding more, like allow permission inside the policies. User group to assign permission to IAM user. Yes, use groups. Definitely, you should create the group, and then you have to add the user and assign the permissions to the group. So tomorrow, suppose why I'm telling you should always create a group. Suppose whether it is a single user. Suppose today I am a startup. Okay, I am currently having only a single developer. I am a very basic startup, and just now we have thought of creating our application. So I just found one, engineer developer, and I am an infra engineer. So I created one AWS account. Inside that, I want to give access to my developer. So I created one group. On the top of it, I have attached the policy and I have added the developer. Now suppose as my product will grow, now tomorrow I think there was a need of 2 more developers. So there I only have to add those users inside the group. I don't have to every time add the separate policies to each group. So to save a time, to save the repetitive task, we should always use groups to assign permissions to IAM users. Then configure a strong password policy. Always enforce the users to use a 3D password. Have a password rotation policy added. Delegate using roles instead of sharing credentials. I have told you. This was a question I was asking you when multiple of you were not able to answer it correctly. Always prefer roles instead of sharing credentials. Roles have a temporary access. They are having a temporary security credentials, so don't have to store your credentials on any particular AWS source. With the help of roles, automatically a temporary credentials will be created, will be shared among different services to create a communication between different AWS services or resources. Okay. Monitor account activity by using CloudTrail. CloudTrail, CloudTrail is a, it is a, it is a tracking tool which is used to track the activity of all the users inside a particular AWS account. Okay, so that is now completed. That is done. Temporary is not, we are not setting any time. Temporary is, it is having temporary security credentials. You don't have to share your main credentials. It will give you a assume role. You are going to assume that you have this kind of a power to this particular, to do this kind of a task. So I am giving you a temporary access, temporary security credential, which is used to access a particular service. Okay. So those security credentials are created temporarily here. And and there is no time set, okay? Suppose today I want to give you access to some kind of a account using a role. Then once your work is done, I will take update from you and then I will remove that particular role from your profile and you won't be able to access. But when I'm giving you the role, that time when I'm adding a role so that you can access some other service in other account, that time each time you don't have to provide your security credentials. You can directly access that other AWS account because you have that temporary credentials associated with your profile using the IAM rules. I think now it is clear, Money. Is it clear, Money? Yes or no? We want to go ahead. Okay, cool. Okay, guys. Now introduction to the first lab. So now the hands-on will start, guys. So let me explain you the task. So how I do the labs, like I'm just telling about myself in my class. I'm going to explain you what is required in the lab. Then first you have to perform the lab, and next day I'm going to perform the lab so that you can check out the solution, guys. So why I'm asking you guys to perform the lab first, because so that you will also think. Suppose I can do the solution today also, but that won't be fruitful for you guys. So please, I will just give you the scenario, what is there in the lab, how to access the lab. You should perform this lab in this weekend, and on Monday we are going to discuss the lab. So this is how we are going to do the lab. Okay. Okay, so let me tell you. So these will be the tasks which are the part of the lab. First one, you have to explore the users and groups. So there will be multiple users and multiple groups. You have to check out each and every group and user, how, like, what are the different policies are attached, and all those different kind of details about users and group. Second, add the users to group. Then you have to add the users to different IAM groups as per the instruction. And the task 3 will be sign in and test user. Then you have to validate the users. So this will be the scenario, guys. So there will be 3 users and there will be 3 IAM groups. So user 1 will be the part of S3 support group, and here the policy which we are assigning to this S3 support group is IAM manage policy S3 read only access. That means this user 1, which is a part of S3 support group, can only see the list of S3 buckets inside a particular AWS account. Apart from that, this user 1 cannot access any AWS services. Now the user 2, which you have to create, is the part of EC2 support. This is the another group, EC2 support, where the policy is Amazon EC2 read only policy. This user 2 can only see the list of the list of EC2 machines, EC2 servers which are created inside your AWS account. So that is the only permission we are giving. Apart from that, this user cannot access anything inside your AWS account. Sorry. Now the user 3 is an EC2 admin. So here you have to create one IAM inline policy. Okay, so one policy will be there that will be created that you can read out. So that policy will say that this user can view all the EC2 instances. This user can also start and stop the EC2 instances. So he's having some admin kind of a access. So you have to, once you will complete this setup, then you have to validate. You have to log in with each user ID. You will get the URL you will get the URL, the sending URL and the details when you will see the user, that credentials, username and password. So you have to log in as each user, and then you have to test whether whatever policies you have implemented are working as expected or not. Okay, so whatever will be the key takeaways we are going to discuss inside the lab on Monday once I am going to perform the lab. Let me now tell you how you can access the lab. So for that, first you have to navigate to the module of a respective lab. Okay, so currently the first lab is inside module number 4, and this is a lab. You have to click on introduction to AWS IAM lab. So guys, I think the course is ended, no longer access. How come? I think my access got revoked. I need to check it, guys. No problem. Let me check again. Let me check the admin again. Okay, you won't be able to understand with this view. Okay, no problem. I'll just we'll do one thing. We just do this lab on Monday. Sorry, I'll just give you this lab as a homework on Monday, okay? Because I also want to show you how to access. But if suppose there are very straightforward steps are there, very easy steps are there. These are all guided labs of foundation course. So what you can do from yourself, once you will go to the lab, there will be instructions. Just check out the instructions to how to access the lab, and then there will be all the then there will be all the stuff will be there which you have to perform as a part of experiment. Try to do that, okay, on this weekend. On on this Monday, on Monday, I will get this, once the access will get reboot. Actually, this access is also temporary for me also for 2.5. So maybe it would be it would be over. So they are going to provide me access again. So I'm going to tell you. So we are going to discuss this lab on Tuesday. On Monday, I'm going to tell you, okay, how to access the lab if you are facing any issue. If each and every one of you will be able to access the lab, then we will likely go for this lab demonstration. Okay. Okay, guys. So, but you know how to access the lab. To the lab, you have to click on the lab inside a particular module, and then you will be navigated to the to that that particular lab part, and you can follow the instructions from there. And if you face any issues in accessing the lab, I'm going to tell you on Monday itself, and we can then discuss the solution on Tuesday. If you all are guys are fine with the how to access the lab, then we will do the demo itself on Monday. Okay, guys. So let's move ahead now. Now let's move to section number 4, which is securing your accounts, your AWS accounts. So first one is we are telling AWS organization. So AWS organization, we all know what is AWS organization. This is used to manage multiple AWS accounts. It enables you to consolidate multiple AWS accounts so that you can centrally manage. So suppose you are having 100 accounts, 200 accounts, 50 accounts. If you want to manage it from a central platform, then you should add all those accounts inside a AWS organization as a member account. Then you can centrally manage them. Security features of AWS organization: group AWS account into organizational accounts and attach a different access policy to each OU. Yes, we all know. If you remember that inside AWS organization, we can create organizational units, which is just like a user group, and inside that organizational unit, you can add multiple AWS member accounts, and whatever policies you are going to attach on organizational unit, that same will be inherited by all the AWS member accounts inside a particular organization unit. Integrate and support for IAM. Permissions to a users are intersected of what is allowed by AWS organization, what is granted by IAM. So, both SCP and IAM policies works in hand. Okay. How? So, for example, as I told you before, what is the difference between SCP and IAM policies? SCPs are, are attached at account level, and IAM policies are attached at identity level, the user or resource level. So how they work hand in hand? So let me take an example. Suppose I created one AWS organization. Inside that, I created one OU that is for network engineers. Inside that OU, I have added 4 AWS accounts, 4 AWS accounts of 4 different clients, and all 4 accounts are for network. I have attached one SCP policy which will give access to only networking services in each of these accounts. Why? Because only network engineer of those particular AWS accounts can access these services. So I have written one SCP policy, which is a broad level policy, okay, which is giving access to a network, network services. Suppose it has given access to multi-network services like Cloud 53, VPC, CloudFront, and etc. Multiple are there also. And suppose now inside the AWS account, inside those 3 AWS accounts, what I will do, I will create some IAM policies. So IAM policies, how I will create. So till now, each account can only access the network services, all the network services. Now inside account number 1, I only want the user should access VPC. In account number 2, I only want the users to access VPC and Route 53. Account number 3, I want only users to access VPC, Route 53 and CloudFront. So that is more granular permission. I am giving it using IAM. But at the top, there is a broader permission which we have given with the help of SCP, and inside IAM, we are giving a more granular permission. So both things are working in hand in hand to make your AWS accounts pretty much secure. Okay, you got it? How it works? Both are working, parallelly. Use service control policies to establish control over the AWS services and every action that each account can access. Yeah, you can use these service policies at the account level and your IAM policies at the user level. Okay, let's go ahead. So AWS service policies, we all know. So I'm just going to just revise these concepts quickly. So under organization, to control your account, we need some kind of a policies, and these policies are created with the help of service control policies. Limited permissions that are available in an account is a part of an organization. Same way, when I have created, one OU, inside OU I have added 3 accounts, and what limited permission I have given to that organization unit inside AWS organization, I have only given a permission that this OU, all the accounts inside this OU can only access the network services. That's it. That is a limited permission. Ensure that accounts comply with access control guidelines. So there are few access control guidelines are there of organization. So make sure that will be applied to each and every account so that you can easily set up all the service control policies. SCPs are similar to IAM permission policies because they are using the same similar syntax. Both service control policies and your IAM permissions or IAM policies are written in same format, JSON format. However, an SCP never grant permission. Instead, SCP specifies the maximum permission of an organization. Definitely. What was the maximum permission of an of an OU, of an organization unit? That was, I have given it that all the account inside this particular OU can access network services. But then inside the network services, for all these 3 different accounts, I created different policies based on the job function. For account 1, I created an IAM policy which will work inside the AWS account to provide the VPC access. For second, I created the policy to provide VPC and CloudFront access. For third one, I provide the policy to access CloudFront VPC and Log53 service. So it is for for account level, it is giving a maximum policy for account, but inside the account, IAM is going to provide the granular permission. But the conclusion is there. When you use both IAM and SCP, you will have a very secure control on your AWS accounts. Okay, so use these service control policies which are used for controlling your accounts to by creating, by attaching these policies, you can control your AWS accounts within the AWS organization. Now let's understand what is AWS Key Management Service. So Key Management Service enables you to create and manage encryption keys. So encryption, I've already told you what is the meaning of encryption and decryption. So let me revise you that. So encryption means when I'm adding some I would say garbage or some kind of a 3D value between the message, and when I'm going to send one message to money, then nobody can hack that message in between. If they hack also, they cannot understand. So how these encryptions are are implemented? Definitely they won't be implemented automatically. You need some kind of a thing to implement that encryption. So the encryptions are implemented with the help of keys. So these are some keys are there, okay, which are used to create the encryption. So there are encryption keys and decryption keys are there. So decryption means to decode the data. Encryption means to encode the data. So these are used with the help of encryption keys. And inside AWS platform, we have AWS Key Management Services which help us to create these keys and to manage the keys. So if you want to encrypt any data, suppose there is some data on S3. Till now we know that S3 stores a lot of data like Cloudtrail logs, and you have your cloud cost and usage reportings are there. So for example, suppose there was some Cloudtrail logs were stored in S3. Now you want to encrypt that, encrypt those logs, Cloudtrail logs. And how you can do? You have to get the key from KMS, Key Management Services, and then you can use those keys to encrypt the data. Okay. Yeah, actually, this case, there are 2 types of keys are there. Symmetric and asymmetric keys are there. Okay, so symmetric key uses only a single key to decrypt and single key for encrypt and decrypt the data. And the second one is your asymmetric keys. where they use multiple keys. So the example which you are telling me public and private keys, this is an example of asymmetric encryption. Your approach is correct. You can tell it is public and private key, but that is the example of asymmetric encryption. The symmetric encryption uses a single key. With the help of a single key, they can encrypt and decrypt. But when you use an asymmetric encryption, that requires a key pair of public and private key. Okay, Rishikesh. Rishikesh, is it clear? Yes or no? No, I'm not getting any answer. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, guys, you understood now what is the use of key management service. They provide us the key, and with the help of that key, we can secure our data. So we are securing the data at rest. I'm going to tell you what the meaning of data at rest and data at transit. That I'm going to tell you. Yeah, money. So we have to, access this key management service. From there, there's an option to create the key. You have to provide the name to that key. Then key will be created, and that key you can use it on different platforms. Apart from that, whenever you are using these different services, there also you will get the option whether you want to encrypt the data. Then when you will select the option to encrypt the data, it will automatically create a key using key management services, and your data will be encrypted. I hope you got the answer in both ways. Okay. Okay, guys. We just need OMR request key. What is the OMR request key? I'm not getting you. Okay, need request key. Request key means no. This is a key to encrypt the data. The data which is residing on AWS platform, to encrypt the data, that is required. Okay. So you have to encrypt the data which is sitting in your S3 bucket, sitting in your EBS. I'm going to tell you the difference. Okay, what is the difference between encrypting at rest and encrypting at transit? Then your doubt will be clear. So please concentrate. Okay. So now, guys, look at this. Enables you to control the use of encryption across AWS services in your application. Definitely, you can use these keys to encrypt all the data which is there, whether the data is residing in your database or it is residing on your different, storage like EBS, EFS, KMS, EFS, S3 or S3 Glacier, any kind of a storage. This encryption is supported so that your data will be secured on AWS platform. Okay, integrate with AWS CloudTrail to log all the key uses. Definitely, you should also integrate your, like all your key usage with your CloudTrail, so that CloudTrail is going to, get all the activity regarding these keys. So who has created the key and how they are managing the key, everything will be documented. What is the meaning of managing? What happens, guys? These keys has to be rotated, and like I was telling you, the password rotation, these keys will be rotated. So for example, suppose you have created one key, the life of that particular key will be of 1 year or 2 years maximum. Then you have to, for keeping your data encrypted, then you have to rotate the key. Rotate the key means you have to request for another key. You will get another updated key, and with that you can encrypt the data. So your data will lie encrypted. Use hardware security modules (HSM) and HSM that are validated by Federal Information Processing, standards to protect keys. Actually, there is one hardware security module also there. So the KMS is a cloud-based, cloud-based security model. If you don't want to use a cloud-based security model, then there is another way as hardware security model, which is a device, which is a hardware device, which also do the same stuff, which can also use to create and manage your encryption keys. So you can use that device. Whatever key you will get in the device, you can import those keys on your AWS platform, and you can encrypt the keys. So generally, what happens, there is one, there are some, I would say example, or I would say process in which, the client, suppose I am working for XYZ client. So client will tell that we are going to provide you the key. Don't you use your keys to encrypt the data. We are going to provide you the key. For those keys, you should use and encrypt the data. So what they are going to do, they are going to, to get the keys from their hardware security model from other way. And those keys they are going to give us. We are going to import those keys on our AWS platform. Then those keys will be available inside the key management system. And then we can use those keys to encrypt our data. So these are, so there is an organization known as Federal Information Processing Standard, which used to validate the keys maybe the key, then the encryption type, maybe it is suppose 250-bit encryption is there, which is the highest bit encryption is there. So which is an advanced, encryption. So whether they follow all the rules of encryption, whether that key is encrypted correctly. So all those stuffs are checked by guided by Federal Information Processing Standard. So this is a device which is already validated by this particular organization. So from here also we will get the keys outside AWS platform. Okay, we just need to take and put key to encrypt. We don't need to create key correct. Actually, suppose two things I told you, money. For example, if you're creating a S3 bucket, and at the time of creation, you will get the option that whether you want to encrypt the data or not. You will select that option, and automatically the keys will be created by KMS at the backend, and your data will get encrypted. And you can see those keys at KMS end. But for example, if you want to first create the key, then you can create the key at KMS, and those keys you can use to encrypt the data. Both things you can do. You also have the access to create the keys. Okay. Okay, guys. So let's go for break. It's already past 8. So let's go for 5 minutes break, and once we are back, we're going to discuss ahead with this AWS Amazon Cognito topic. Okay, I'll see you in 5 minutes, guys. Thank you. Okay, guys. So let's continue with the learning. So now the next topic is Amazon Cognito. How you can check your account using Cognito. So what is the basic use of Amazon Cognito service? It adds user sign in, sign up, and access control to your web and mobile. So this Cognito is your, like it is your what do you say? Like it is your web identity federation service. What are web identity federation? These are your Facebook, Google, Amazon are the example of web identity federation. Now first I'll give you a one example, then you'll be able to relate this service. So I think you would have like if you would have checked out many applications like food applications, Zomato or Swiggy. When you're creating your account for the first time, so it will give you few options like either you can create the account using your email ID or password, or you can access the Swiggy application using your Google or Facebook or Amazon credentials. So, for example, if you are trying to create your account using your, like, trying to access the application using your Google credential, once you click on that, then it will ask you the Google ID, and after that, you will be automatically logged into your logged into your AWS, logged into your Swiggy account. The same way the Zomato also works. So we have seen multiple ways that it will help us to help end user too, that they don't have to create multiple user ID and password using those web identity federation ID and password, like Google password. You can Google ID and password, you can access the account. So how to get that kind of a functionality for your application, the application which you are building on AWS platform, how you can get that kind of a functionality inside your application, that is done with the help of Amazon Cognito. So when you're using this Amazon Cognito, it will help your application to get an additional login details where you also have the privilege to access your application using the web identity federation credentials. So for example, you've integrated Google and Amazon as a web identity, web identity federation. Then once new user, suppose I'm a new user, I came to your portal and there I want to create my account. Instead of creating my account with different ID and user password, I'll just login as a Google account. So once I will click on Google, so with the help of that I can log into this particular application. So I don't have to create the separate account. So how all these things are managed inside AWS platform? This functionality is managed and created with the help of Amazon Cognito. So it is going to add your user sign up and sign in. Definitely what we are doing here, we are signing up and we are signing into a particular application, and so that we will get the access control to that application from our mobile or web application. So it scales to millions of users. Actually, it is also a scalable service which scales to millions of users, whether there are single user or millions of users. This Cognito works really well. So it is automatically scaling. Okay. So you don't have to manage this service. It scales automatically to millions of users. It supports sign in with social identity providers. These are social identity providers, or you can say these are also web identity providers or web identity federation, such as Facebook, Google, and Amazon. The same thing I told you. They support these social identity providers and enterprise identity providers such as Microsoft Active Directory via security assertion markup language. Okay, so apart from first scenario I've told you, that if you want to access any application through Facebook, Google, or Amazon credentials, you can access it with the help of this service if the application is hosted on AWS platform. For other platforms, this same service is with some other name and all. But for Amazon, it is Amazon Cognito for AWS platform. Apart from that, apart from that, what you can do, suppose you are working in any enterprise, in any company. So inside the company, we also have our internal portals. Suppose the portals, for example, there's a HR portal. Okay, there are leave management portal, your personal detail portal, multiple portal, your timesheet portals are there where you will, like where you're going to, what do you say, we are going to input your office timing. So multiple internal applications are. Suppose there are 20 internal applications are there. Okay, and you have your single ID and password. So using this service, you go like using your single ID and password, your corporate ID and password, you can log into all 20 services. You don't require different password for that internal portal. How it is possible? Because it is possible through security assertion markup language. Because this is a language which, which is used for authentication between the application and your corporate directory. So here, if you're using a Microsoft Active Directory is there, which is a corporate directory, which contains all the employee details. Suppose I am the employee of XYZ organization, and in my company there are 20 internal applications which, which they have provided me, so that I can access those applications if I have any work. So suppose if I want to access the application, I don't want to create the credentials for each internal application. I can simply use them via security assertion markup language. So this whole functionality is also useful for this particular setup also. So you can use, for this enterprise identity providers as well as for social identity providers. APIs, I think, no, APIs actually are different. Suppose like when you were telling that you want to create accounts and like using your user ID and password. That time some internal API will be hit that is going to that is going to open a new form where you have to put your more details to create account. Now one more shortcut is there where one more API will be. Everything is going through API only. Internal communication is going through API, but this is not an API, Sandeep. Okay, the service it integrates with social identity providers like Facebook, Google, and Amazon. So once you click on that, then using their password, we are accessing one other application like Swiggy or Zomato. We have not created different credentials for Swiggy or Zomato. We are the first time user, and we are trying to access through the Google ID and password. So like in the advanced section, like inside the architecture advanced course, we are going to discuss about the internal functionality of Cognito. I'm going to tell you how this request and all goes through. Okay, but for now, this is a foundation course. You should know what is Cognito and for what purpose it is used. That I have told you. Okay, Ashwini, if you have joined late, so sorry, we have already covered few of the topics. How to create, how to secure your new AWS accounts. I have completed, and then I have also told how to, like, what are the tasks for the lab first. So now you have to access the canvas and check out the resources, and you also have to access the lab and try to do the lab. It is a guided lab, Ashwini, where you can see all the steps and you can perform the lab, and we're going to discuss the lab on Monday. If you guys are okay, so that is the whole course, both course, once you will complete both course money, you will get the knowledge of solution architect associate exam knowledge of all the topic. But to build some foundation, we have to first understand this. So when we start with the architecture, you won't be able to connect with me. Okay, so don't worry, everything will be covered. Whatever is a part of your course, just focus on the learning. Okay. Okay, so now Vijay is asking, please explain last point. Oh, the last point is there. First point I've told you that you can use Cognito with they integrate with social identity providers. Like that, they also integrate with enterprise identity providers. So what are the enterprise identity providers? So inside the corporate offices, inside the corporate companies, there are multiple internal applications. Suppose I am working in some organization, there are some internal applications which are for me. Suppose if I want to input my leave, I can open one portal. That is an application. I can input I can apply my leave. I can apply my timesheet. Okay, if I want to check out the HR policies, there is one other application. If I want to check out my ratings and all, there is one other application. Okay, if I want to check out some my insurance, there is some other application. So based on that, there are multiple internal applications out there which are for employees, which are supporting employees working in an organization. Now, if suppose Gajana, I will tell you that for accessing all the application, you have to create different ID and password. So definitely at a point of time, you will forward, and you will find that it's a very tedious task that every time if I want to access something, I have to provide a separate ID and password. So to come over this challenging problem, we use this cognitive type of functionality using our Microsoft Active Directory. So there is one central directory is there for each company, which is a Microsoft Active Directory, which contains employees details across the world. Suppose if you are working in a global company which is having more than 2 lakhs, employees, then all the details will be present inside the Microsoft Active Directory. So from there, it is going to use this SAML, framework, SAML language framework. There is security assertion markup language. It is a framework which will be used, which is going to authenticate your credentials automatically across all the internal applications. Now, once you have logged in to your company's portal, now you see 120 applications are there. Now, when you click on any application, you don't have to log in again. It is a single sign-on. I would say more precisely, it's a single sign-on technology which you will achieve with the help of security assertion markup language. So, what will happen with that? Using this, you will create a single sign-off kind of a functionality. So, using your corporate ID and password, you can access all those 20 applications on that particular or like on your company portal. I hope it is clear now. Vijana, is it clear? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, guys, let's go ahead. Now you understood what is Cognito, how the Cognito works. And now let me tell you what is AWS Shield. So Shield, I've already told you, it is used to manage a distributed denial of service attacks, protection attacks. I've told you what is DDoS attack also. I think a few classes back. I think in last class or last class, I told you that DDoS is a, their hackers is going to inject the false traffic, they're going to inject the false traffic to your to your network, and which will impact the application performance. Actually, now the main purpose of Cognito was to create a single sign-on functionality, so that whether you are using any corporate, you're trying to access through an enterprise identity tool, or you're trying to access through a web identity federation, with using a single set of credentials, you can access multiple applications. That is the main conclusion of using Amazon Cognito, a single sign-on functionality kind of a stuff. Okay. Now safeguards application running on AWS. So it also safeguards the application running on AWS. So AWS Shield is of no cost. So but if you want to use if you want to use if you want to you use some advanced if you want to get some advanced shield protection, for that you have to pay some amount. Like that for CloudTrail, it was free for 90 days, but if you want to have to store more logs for more number of times, then you have to pay something. Same way, Shield basic version is going to support everything. As it is telling, AWS Shield standard. Shield standard is there, which is enabled at no additional cost. So which will be enabled for all your applications at no cost. But if you want to get the advantage of AWS Shield advanced technology, which is a paid service, once you will use this, then it is they have written few more algorithms, some advanced algorithm to tackle the attack in an advanced form. Suppose some it has also written some algorithm where suppose some other kind of a attack in some different form will be there on your website, that will also be tackled using the advanced Shield advanced option. So the main funda is that the Shield is used to manage it is used to tackle the DDoS attack. If there is some DDoS attack is there on your application, that will be tackled with the help of Shield. I've already explained you the DDoS attack Shield before also. It is just a revision, but you should understand there are two there are two forms of Shield. First one is Shield standard, which is used which you can use without any additional cost. Second one is Shield advanced, which contains some advanced algorithm to tackle some higher attacks, and for that you have to pay some price. Use it to minimize application downtime and latency. Definitely, when the attack will happen, it can lead to your it can lead your application to be unavailable. It can bring down your application also, those attacks. So once you will use this shield, it is going to protect your application from DDoS attack, which will minimize the application downtime. So your application won't be down and your application will be up, whether the attack is there or not. So it is going to, he is going to tackle the attack and your application will be up and you will be able to serve the customer without latency. Because you all know when this attack happens, lot of false traffic is injected into the real traffic. So what will happen, the real user, like suppose I am a real user trying to access Amazon.com, some attack has been integrated, then what's going to happen? I will face some latency while getting the response from the application, because first request is going to go to the server and the main request will be halted in between. Okay, that's why. So it uses to minimize the application downtime and latency. Okay, yeah, Chinna, Active Directory uses this. Active Directory only contains the information of all the people, like your LDAP directory. Okay. Yeah, Sonia, it works as a it works as an antivirus, you can say here. Like in other language, you can consider it as a antivirus also, which protect you from viruses. Okay. Okay, guys, let's go ahead. Now let's move to section 5 of this course, where we have to see how to secure the data on AWS. Okay, so till now we have seen how to secure the accounts in multiple ways. Now we'll understand how to secure the data which we are storing on AWS. So this data is a very integral part of any application. A lot of data has been generated, okay, which has to be saved. Okay, so let's just check out how to save that. So first of all, what is encryption of data at rest? So encryption of data at rest means the data which is resting on different AWS storages. So whether the data is, whether data is present on S3 or EBS or EFS or any kind of a database. So when the data is stored on the database, that data, when the data is stored on that particular storage database, that means the data is at rest position. So when the data is at rest position, that time also we have to encrypt that data so that nobody can hack that data. So that is the meaning of data at rest, when the data is storing in some disk, some hardware disk. Okay, that is the meaning of data at rest. Now how to encrypt that data at rest? The data at rest will be encrypted using the key management services, which I have already told you. Let's check out here. So what is the meaning of encryption? Encryption encodes data with a secret key which makes it unreadable. That is the key which is used. I've told you, KMS provides us the key, and that key, with the help of that key, with the help of that secret key, we can encrypt the data. That means we can encode the data. And how? Once you encode the data, then it becomes unreadable. Nobody can read that data. Suppose I'm sending hello to money and I'm encrypting that data using secret key, then a lot of garbage value will be encrypted inside the data, and that makes the data unreadable. So once the data will reach to money, he's having the decrypt key, the data will get decrypted and money can only read the hello. Okay. So only those who have secret, only those who have who have this secret key, right? Just a minute, I'm just getting a call. Give me a second. Okay. Yeah. So only those who are having the secret key can decode the data. So Mani was having the secret key and he can decode the data. And AWS KMS can manage your secret keys. I told you before also when we were checking about this KMS service, KMS is used to create and manage your secret keys. What are the secret keys? The encryption keys. AWS supports encryption of data at rest. And data at rest means data stored physically. The same thing I've told you. When the data is at rest, when the data is stored physically on your disk devices, on your disk, your storage disk, your database is also attached with some storage. So the data is physically located on the disk. There is a meaning of data at rest. So you can encrypt the data stored in any service that is supported by KMS. So KMS already support multiple services. So look at the example S3, your simple storage service, EBS, your elastic block storage, elastic file systems, and all your database, relational database service, which contains multiple, database engines. You can create multiple databases using RDS. So it is, this KMS supports almost all the storage and databases so that whatever data is residing on that particular storage or database will be highly secured using the KMS keys. The keys, the security keys or the secret keys or the encryption keys which is provided by KMS, key management service. With the help of that, you can secure the data or you can encrypt the data at rest inside AWS platform. Okay, now you understood what is data at rest, and KMS is the service which is used to encrypt, which is used to provide the secret keys or the encryption keys to encrypt the data at rest. Now let's understand what is encryption of data in transit. So in transit means when the data is moving across network, when the data is moving across, like different AWS sources. Suppose inside, like from EC2, I've connected S3. Data is moving in transit. That time, and when the data is moving from server to client machine or client to server machine. When the data is in network, when the data is running, that is the meaning of data in transit. So how to encrypt that data which is in transit? So that is done with the help of transport. That is with the help of certificates, with the help of SSL, TLS, and SSL certificate. So this transport layer security, or your this SSL, which is also secure socket layer. So these are used. For the secure communication. These are the protocols. So we have some protocols are there on like inside the network which define some rules so that your data will be transmitted securely over the network. So these protocols are the set of rules which are defined at each network level, and using these rules the data will be transmitted securely in between two machines, between client and server machines, or between two AWS resources, if I'm talking about the AWS platform. Okay, so now you understand what is it, like this TLS and SSL is the same. It is also known as TLS or SSL certificates, which we have to install on the client and server machine. So once we will install these certificates, once once we will install these certificates. Okay, once you are going to install these certificates, then what is going to happen? The transmission will become secure. So I will give you an example. There is one HTTP and there is a secure HTTP. If you're using HTTP protocol, that is not secure. But when you're using HTTPS protocol, that means it is secure. So if you will find any URL, suppose HTTPS, HTTPS www.google.com, that means that URL is secure because the certificates, the TLS, SSL certificates are installed on those servers. That's why the communication will be, the data in transit will be already encrypted. It will be secure. So if you are having if you're seeing any URL which are not secure, which are only using HTTP, then you have to make sure that you have to think twice to access those URLs. Because those URLs, the certificates are not installed. The communication on those URLs are not secure. Now, how to check the certificate? I'll just tell you. So for any website, if you want to check the certificate, this TLS and SSL certificates are there. How to check that? So you have to click on this part, okay? And inside that, okay, you can see this connection is secure. Just click on here, and this certificate is valid. Click here and look at this. It is giving the certificate. The certificate is valid from this date to this date. So there's a concept of certificate renewal also. So before the certificate get expired, the teams who are working on the certificate management, they are going to create another manager. They are going to create another certificate. They are going to replace that certificate or for this particular URL. Okay. So now inside AWS there is one service known as AWS Certificate Manager, which provides a way to manage, deploy, and renew your TLS and SSL certificates. Suppose you are working as a cloud engineer, you have been given a task to renew the certificates. You renew your AWS server certificate, then you can log into AWS Certificate Manager. You can request for new certificates, then you can install those certificates on your AWS server so that your servers will be your servers will have the certificate installed and your data in transit will be encrypted. That is your HTTPS encryption. Because when you use the secure HTTPS, then it creates a secure tunnel, and that secure tunnel is encrypted. So in between, when the data is in transit, when the data is in like when the data is moving across the network, then in between nobody can hack the data easily because we're using a secure tunnel. So it uses TLS or SSL for the bidirectional exchange of data. So it is a bidirectional means both the data transmission from server to client and from client to server. It supports both. So it is end-to-end encryption is there. So AWS services support data in transit. The two examples they are telling. The first example they are telling inside the AWS cloud there is one EC2 service which is connected to EFS, that is a elastic file system. So in between, you have installed the certificate and the whole data which is moving across the network is encrypted. The second example is there. It is a hybrid model where we have a corporate data center which is connecting their storage to the S3 Amazon S3 service using the AWS storage gateway. Actually, there is one AWS storage gateway is there, which is a service which is used to create a hybrid cloud, hybrid storage solution. With the help of this storage gateway, you can connect your on-premises storage with your S3, Amazon S3. Okay, so since this topic was written here, that's why I'll just give you a little detail. So what is the functionality of a storage gateway? It is a gateway which is created between the corporate data center, the on-premises corporate data center, and your Amazon S3. And using this gateway, you can connect your on-premises storage with your Amazon S3 bucket to create a hybrid storage model. So what happens, guys? Suppose there is some company and who don't want to buy, they already have their on-premises hardware components, but they also want to take advantage of using AWS platform. And when it comes to storage, they don't want to, now they want to invest amount in creating the on buying the storage devices. So what they can do, they can use the storage gateway so that they will be connected to the Amazon S3, and so that they can take the backup of the data on S3. So now the main storage will get empty because all the backup data will be moved to S3, and that's how they can run their application from their on-premises, and all the backup data will be all the backup data will be stored on the S3 bucket. So that's a hybrid cloud storage model you can create with the help of AWS storage gateway. It is not a physical gateway, guys. Though it is a physical gateway, but with the help of us, we can use it as a service. So you can use this gateway as a service, guys. So I hope this is clear how the encryption of data in guest is handled. It is handled with the help of TLS and SSL certificate which are installed on the servers, and how these certificates from where you will get the certificate, from which service you're going to get the certificate. That is your Amazon certificate manager is going to provide you the certificate. He is going to help you to manage the certificates. It will also help you to renew these certificates. Okay. Yeah, you can configure that. You can configure in a way, generally how we configure money, we configure 30 days before. So, around 30 days before or 35 days before, the consent team is going to get a message that the certificate is getting, this certificate is getting expired, so that the product team can make all the arrangement and they can request for new certificates, and then those certificates should be installed in a timely manner. I have also worked on this certificate management multiple times. We used to get into activities, so we used to request the certificates. Once we get the certificate, we used to install the certificates on different servers, so that then the data in transit will be encrypted. Certificate is like a program. You can say actually these are the encryption parts. Money. You're not going to write any program. There are some security analysts or security programmers here. They write the functionality for the certificates. So it will when you will access the file also, you will see some kind of a garbage value over there. Okay. That file is in some other format, the PM format the file is there. So you can't access that file normally. But you can see there is some kind of a program they're using to write some kind of a security functionality over there. Okay. So Manish, can you hear me now? You're telling my voice is breaking. Can you hear me now? Manish, are you there? There is a process of migration from a premises to CloudGuaya storage gateway. No, it is not a process of migration. You can say it is just a process of taking a backup. migration, we have a different services, Raghav. But if you want to connect and create a hybrid model, because migrating means you are migrating your application data from one place to another. This is not migration. It is creating a hybrid model, Raghav. So where you can also use your local storage, and you can also take the backup of the data from to the S3 by connecting your local storage to your S3 bucket using the AWS storage gateway. It is not a migrating part. Okay. Okay, guys. So can we use FTP in AWS to for secure transfer? No. FTP you can use inside. Okay. For suppose like we want to do a secure transfer inside your this. Okay. Like between your two servers. There you can use the FTP. But FTP won't work everywhere. Here. Okay. That's fine. You have to install the certificates. Without it, it is not possible. FTP you are using only for it was what about other if the hacker is going to FTP, then your data is lost money, you are gone. You have to secure that part. So FTP you are using because we have the access also. That also requires some credentials when you are doing FTP. Okay, guys. So now let's move to securing Amazon S3 buckets and objects. So how you can secure your S3 buckets and objects, guys? So newly created S3 buckets and objects are private and protected by default. So once we'll go to this section, we're going to check out that also. Just remind few details about the S3. So S3, with the help of S3 service, that is simple storage service, we create S3 buckets. And and these buckets are by default, these are private and protected in nature. That means the bucket and the object means the files which is stored in the bucket, both are private in nature. That means nobody can access those files inside the S3 bucket. So this is by default. So suppose for example, if you want to make them public, then you can make them public so that others can take the file from your bucket. Okay, so but by default it is private and protected. So you can be asked this question, okay, that by default like there is some user and the user is not able to access the file from S3 bucket. So what you have to make? Then you will get the option that check out whether the you have to mark the bucket and objects as public, and some other option will be there. So this will be the correct answer. You have to mark your bucket and object as public because by default it is private and protected. So when use cases requires sharing data objects on S3, it is essential to manage and control the data access. Followed the permissions that follow the principle of least privilege and consider using S3 encryption. For example, suppose you don't have to make your public, your bucket public, then you have few kind of tools and options to control the access of S3 data. Okay, so suppose if you have made your this S3 public also, then if you have to make sure that certain people can access your bucket, that time you can use these tools which are supported by S3. First of all, Amazon S3 block public access. It is used to block all your public access. If you enable this, it is going to block all the public access. Second, IAM policies. So IAM policy, from IAM policy also we can write a policy for so that a user can which user can access a S3 bucket or not. Using the policy we can do. Third one is bucket policy. This is a resource-based policy. Yes, I have told you what is resource-based policy and identity-based policy. Using this bucket policy also, what you can do using these bucket policies, also you can create the policy and you can write a permissions for a particular user to access the S3 bucket and resources. After that, we have access control list known as ACS, which is a old system to control mechanism. It is still this functionality is available on S3. So using the ACS also, you can write the configuration, and with the help of ACS also you can control the user access on your S3 bucket. And finally, AWS Trusted Advisors bucket permission check, a free feature. A trusted advisor it is a free feature. So when you will take a developer or enterprise support plan, you will get this trusted advisor feature, which is a free feature. So it is going to check out your account. So if it will find, suppose it will find any any bucket which is public in nature, it is going to give you a warning, and then it will give you a recommendation that please make your bucket private in nature. Don't expose your data and bucket publicly. Please keep themselves as private in nature, and then allow different set of create a policy so that the and the people who are authorized can access your buckets. So this is how the recommendations they provide. Okay, we will do. Okay, not here. Like this practical is there. Okay, when we will go for this S3 bucket, when we will go for this advanced section, there we have one, this what is it? Practical is there. Apart from that, we have a recorded demo here in when we will go to the storage section. Don't run money. We are just seeing here how to secure Amazon S3 bucket. Have some patience. Let this course get complete. Then you tell me which part is there which I have not completed as a part of this course. Just understand what I'm doing, what I'm just trying to tell you. Okay. You will get the practical for this also. Don't worry. You will get in the challenging lab where you have to think more from your end, not as a part of our guidance. Okay. Don't run. Okay, guys, you understood what I want to do. How you can secure your Amazon S3 buckets. These are some of the ways which we are going to see. Okay, in some part of a lab in advanced section. But okay, for now, this is for creating your base. I'm creating your base. Okay, so that you should know. Tomorrow, if I will, if I will tell a term bucket policy, then I know I have already told you what is bucket policies. Then you will connect with me. Then I don't have to explain you this bucket policy. We can perform some experiment. That's how they have created this course in such a way that let the foundation should be created. Then we will go to the advanced topics. Okay. Let's go ahead, guys. Now let's move to section 6, which is working to ensure compliance. Okay, so these compliances are set of agreement, I would say. So suppose which is done between two different companies. For example, Amazon has some compliances done. Have signed some compliances documents with the government of each and every country where they have created their data centers. So maybe the compliances should be containing some of the policies which government want that should be imposed by AWS, like as a part of as a part of your saving the customer data of a company. So that's some kind of document. Apart from that, suppose I am the client, okay, and I am the client who want to migrate to AWS, and I have hired money as a vendor. He is the one who is the owner of a company, and I have hired him as a vendor, and I've given him the responsibility that he should migrate my applications to AWS. So in between them, okay, we will also sign some compliance that these will be some set of rules we have to follow. These are the guidance which we cannot tolerate, which is non-tolerable. So all those things are written under the compliance document, guys. Okay. So what is compliance program? So customers are subject to many different security and compliance regulation requirements. There are many compliance related to security concern is there. So all subjected into the document and they are signed between different organizations. AWS engage with certified bodies and independent auditors to provide customers with detailed information about the policy, process, and control that are established and operated by AWS. So AWS has to be very much transparent over here. So they are engaged, they are having contact with multiple certified bodies and independent auditors, those who do the auditing on a yearly or a half-yearly basis, and so that they will create one report and they will send to the client so that everything will be in under compliance under that particular agreement. Okay, so compliance programs are, some of them are categorized as certification and attestation assembled by third party independent auditor. When you go to buy a product, guys, suppose you buy a helmet, so you have seen this ISO certified, Indian Standard Organization certified. That is some body that has certified that helmet is correct, that product is correct. So when you're using it, it's a minimal chance when you are hit or one accident happens, then you will get some, you will be hit on the skull. This helmet is going to protect you because it is certified. That way, there are few independent auditors and third party people are there who are going to create the certifications and they are going to attach the certificates and get the certificate that this is all the auditing data or the agreements are in compliance with both organization or with the government also. Laws, regulatory and privacy. AWS provides security features and legal agreement to support compliance. Example, EU General Data Protection Regulation or HIPAA. HIPAA is nothing. It is a health insurance portability and Accountability Act, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is required to the medical field. I'm going to tell you that. First, let me tell you about the law, regulation, and privacy. So actually, each country is having their different laws. Suppose if you want to launch your application inside EU, inside your, European Union region, then they have some different laws which you have to fulfill as a part of regulatory and privacy laws. If you want to store a data and you launch a application inside your India region, then there are different set of laws. So all are the laws are documented, so you can read out those laws and based on that you can take the decisions. These are compliances with the government. Apart from that, we have the HIPAA, which is related to the medical field. So we have patient data is there. Suppose like there is a medical data is there. Suppose which is used for research for a longer period of time. So today, if I am a doctor and I have I got some new kind of a patient case and I have done the research and I have treated him, then I will document that patient reports, the prescriptions which I have given, so that with the help of that the patient got treated, and that report I'm going to save for longer period of time. So tomorrow, after suppose 5 years, that kind of a rare case came into the light, then we can get this medical data, because you cannot leak this medical data. These data should not be leaked also. The compliance are tied between the government, because this is also medical data which cannot be leaked or sold to the market. Then alignment and framework, some related to the industry or function specific security or compliance requirement. Example, Center of Internet Security EU US Privacy Shield certified. Then you have to also sign some compliances with these security companies, like RAW is there, ISI is there in Pakistan. Okay, and then you have your like CIA is there of your US, FBI is there. Multiple regulatory companies are there. So for them also, these companies provide the government cloud, this gov cloud. For them, we have to sign the document that everything will be private, nothing will be breached. So all those things comes under compliance program. We won't be asked any question about compliance program, but you should know that there is something like a compliance program, which is agreement between AWS and government, AWS and government regulatory bodies, agencies, and different companies, which AWS has already taken care. They've already taken all the compliance certificates. So all the companies which are moving to AWS are like they have a trust that AWS is doing an independent auditing. They have already certified everything as a part of compliance, so they can trust them and they can move to AWS cloud, because they won't face any kind of a issue afterward. Okay, so related to this auditing and all, we have one service known as AWS Conway. We have some PCI DSS is there, Nitin? Very good. We have a PCI DSS. Actually, it is for your saving your credit card details. Suppose Nitin has given a very good example, PCI DSS. So it is also a like a compliance framework. So suppose like if you're having any application where you are using a payment option. Inside the payment option, if suppose you have like you want a user to store your card or to use your card, then that payment should be the part of PCI DSS compliant. It should follow all the norms which are the part of PCI DSS. Okay, so this is one of the example. Very good, Nathan. Okay, guys. So AWS config is a tool which is used for the auditing purpose. So assess, audit, and evaluate the configuration of AWS sources. So mainly it is used to keep the history of your AWS configurations. So it is used for continuous monitoring of configuration. So today, suppose you have created one infrastructure. The infrastructure is having some configuration. Now after 2 weeks, you have changed the configuration. So this AWS configuration is going to record that at what time, at what particular time, which part of the configuration you have changed inside a particular AWS infra. It's going to record everything, so that it will keep the historical data, and this data will be helpful for the auditing purpose, and how effectively and how you are managing AWS services as a compliantly, like under the compliance. So automatically evaluate recorded data versus desired configuration, and it also has one comparing feature which is going to tell you what is the desired configuration and what is your current configuration which is recorded. Is going to show you the difference, that this is the desired configuration of your AWS infrastructure, and this is the one which they have recorded from your current configuration. That also you can see. And review configuration changes. They will review the configuration changes. View detailed configuration history. You can see the history of 1 year, 2 year back, 2 year back. What was the infra? What all changes were done? Everything is documented. That's why it is used for auditing purpose. Simply like compliance auditing and security. That is the functionality. This data is used for compliance auditing and security analysis purpose. So we get this data from AWS config, a service. So that is the only use of this config service, guys, to for your auditing purpose, so that it can track all the configuration of AWS, and then this configuration will be put into some details, and that details can be audited as a part of security analysis or compliance auditing purpose. Okay. Now let's move ahead. And now there is one service known as AWS Artifact. So Artifact, all these compliance related information which are present on AWS platform, these are all saved inside your AWS Artifact service. So Artifact means the byproduct of any process. Suppose, if you have worked on the Java application, you would have built the Java using Maven project, like using the Maven tool. Once you will build build your Java project using Maven, then you will get one artifact, a byproduct, in the form of one WAR file that you can deploy on the server. So that WAR file is a artifact. Same way, whatever compliance document that AWS has signed all the certification, they won't be stored in this AWS artifact. This is just like a wallet. You store all this, very important information, and all the reports which you are getting from config also, that will be also stored on the artifact. This provides access to security and compliance report and select online agreements. Can access example download AWS ISO certification. You will have your PCI DSS, payment card industry, service organizational, control reports. Access AWS artifacts directly from the AWS management console under security, IT, compliance, like click artifact. So how you can access this artifact service? You have to log into AWS management console. There you can search for artifact, or you can navigate to security, identity, and like compliance service catalog. From there you can click on artifact, and these contain all the compliance, your certificates or reports, okay, which are generated in your AWS account. Then you can read out the report. These are all compliance reports. Okay, so this is the main functionality of artifact, to store the compliance and auditing reports and ISO certificates. Okay, let me just take the key takeaways of this section. So AWS Security Compliance Program provides information about policy, process and controls that are established and operated by AWS. So you will get all the details under the AWS Security Compliance Programs. Config is used to access, audit and evaluate the configuration of AWS sources. You can check out all the configuration. They also record the configuration against the desired configuration. You can check the history of the configuration, and this data is used for the compliance and auditing purpose. AWS Artifacts provides access to security and compliance reports. So all the reports are generated, are placed inside this artifact, which act as a wallet, and from there you can access all these compliance and security reports, guys. So this brings an end to our module 4. So this is what we have learned in this module. So now you know what is shared responsibility model. You can now identify responsibilities between customer and AWS. Now you know what is IAM, user group roles, the different IAM pillars, and your policies, how to describe different type of security credentials in IAM, what are the different steps to secure a new AWS account, how you can explore, you have also explored IAM users and groups. Now you know how to recognize the data, how to secure the AWS data at rest and in transit, and finally you've seen AWS compliance program and the services which are used for this kind of a functionality. Let me ask you one question, then we're going to wrap up, guys. So answer me the simple question: which of the following is AWS responsibility under the AWS shared responsibility model? I'm asking about AWS responsibility. A, configure third-party application. B, maintaining physical hardware. C, securing application access and data. And D, managing custom AMIs. Take your time. Just give me a second. Let me just copy this data, then you can check out the screen. Sorry. Yeah. Please read the question again and answer me. I'm putting this feedback from here, you can take it and you can provide the feedback, guys. I got a mix of answers. What about others? Yeah, very good. Yeah, I got maximum correct answers. So the correct answer is B, maintaining physical hardware. So it is telling AWS responsibility under shared responsibility model. So the correct answer is B, that is maintaining physical hardware. Now I will tell you why other options are incorrect. First of all, configuring third-party applications. It is not their responsibility. When you are using when you want to configure some third-party application for your application infra, it is customer responsibility. B is correct because since AWS owns this infra, that's why they're going to maintain this physical hardware, the physical hardware components which is used to create this infra, AWS infra. And then the third one is why it is incorrect, securing application access and data. Since you are creating a VPC for your application, you are creating IAM users for your AWS account, you are giving them access, you are giving customers, you are creating the security firewall rules, then it is your customer responsibility. It is customer responsibility to secure application access and data. And finally, managing custom AMIs. This can be a tricky one. If somebody would have gone for D, then I would have thought, okay, they would have seen something. It is here that any custom AMI. Actually, AMIs are the major machine images. With the help of that, we are used to create the EC2 machines. Once we will go to the computer, I'm going to tell you what are these AMIs. So, custom AMIs means there are some, like there will be some base AMIs which are maintained by AWS. But suppose when customer is doing some modification on these AMIs, then these AMIs are known as custom AMIs. So when I am doing any modification on any base AMI, then it is whose responsibility to manage that AMI? It is my responsibility, customer. If this would be written as managing base AMIs, then it would be the responsibility of AWS. But here they are telling managing custom AMIs, and custom AMIs are the one where user has done some modification on base AMI, and now the responsibility of managing that custom AMI is of user only, the customer, not AWS. That's why the correct answer is B, maintaining physical hardware. Okay, so these are some additional resources, nothing but documentation you can check out, guys. And I believe you guys are giving the feedback too. So we have ended up with this module also. So from Monday, we're going to start with another module number 5, and we're going to do the lab. So please perform the lab. And if you're having any issue in accessing the lab, then too I'm going to tell you when this course will complete, any tentative date. Because of the exam, I need to take leave from office and need to prepare. Okay, Ashmita, it is an 80 hours course. So till date, I think we have completed around 16 hours. So it is total 80 hours, and I'm going to finish everything inside 80 hours. Okay, so each week we are having 10 hours. So you can consider it as a 1.5 month or near to 2 month course. Okay, Smita. Okay. Okay, guys. So let's wrap up today's class and have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend and revise the concept and try to do the lab. Any issues in the lab, I'm going to tell you how to access the lab on Monday, and we will also check out the solution. So thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next week on Monday. Till then, bye bye. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining. Keep learning. Bye.